Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, our beloveds. What if Rome was burning nearby and you slept through the whole thing only to find the debris the next morning? When your body is dysregulated, it responds to trauma and tragedy differently than when you are regulated. And it's really interesting because our another notices the difference within her own energy body is probably the best way to describe it. When you are dysregulated and a trauma happens, you respond out of your trauma wound, whatever that may be. And that's why different people shut down, overreact, jump right in, whatever it may be. Your response is tied to your trauma response. But this is what our another finds so fascinating these days. As we have taught her how to regulate her own inner nervous system, how we have taught her to engage in self-care, which is more from a perspective of reminding her body for moments every day that it is safe. It doesn't mean going for a long walk. It just may mean noticing how your body feels, allowing it to de-stress in those parts where there's tension or tightness. Learning how to breathe for your body type, what feels right for you, to remind your central nervous system that it is safe, how diet impacts it, how sleep impacts it, how work, how stressors, just noticing what dysregulates you and gives you a cortisol spike. Our another now does not go into what we would call fight or flight the moment that a crisis occurs. She responds from that calm, grown-up space within her that feels confident and in control, not of the situation, but of the response. Our another is noticing how her internal state was such that whenever there was the slightest hint of discomfort in anyone, that she would jump up and attempt to soothe the situation or the person. Because feeling, hearing, observing, seeing, or experiencing anyone in distress reminded her of her own distress. So her goal was always to jump in. For example, her children, when they would cry, she would immediately pick them up and soothe them because it was distressing for her to hear her children in distress. Now, the response that she engaged in was warm and comforting, yet when you look at the energetic imprint from which it came from a place of anxiety and distrust in the rest of the world. And that she has to make her children feel safe and loved, cared for, tended to, and seen. This was her trauma response. And yet there are other parents who do nothing when their children cry. Why is that? It's their own internal compass. But our another is now seeing how much of her past behavior was prompted from her childhood, her trauma response, and her false belief systems, though they were true, which is that I am not safe. Now let us go down another rabbit hole. Just this last week, we asked our another to sit with, have you felt unsafe in your home within the last 5 years? Have you worried about your safety and well-being? No. Now, before your ex left, did you feel safe in your home? Or were there moments where you feared for your safety? Deer caught in headlights moment. She realized the person that she was living with was more likely to harm her, hurt her, or kill her than a stranger. Now, why is that? Because she was literally unsafe in her home, because her partner had physically abused her multiple times, which resulted in a strangulation attempt. She knew, and therefore knows, that he's capable of killing her, or at least making her believe that he's capable of killing her. And now that he has left the home, she no longer worries about or fears for her safety. Can you understand how oftentimes it is the people within your home or within your circle of influence who are the most dangerous, who are the most likely to harm you and hurt you? Statistics support this. Find your truth, but more importantly, figure out what safety looks and feels like, and then move towards that. It is not a linear process. We ping-pong you back and forth, where moments you have feelings of safety and other times where you don't. And within that journey of ping-ponging back and forth, you learn what safety feels like and what it doesn't, what you prefer and what you don't, and where you have the luxury of financial stability from the perspective of meeting your most basic needs. Where you have that, and therefore the luxury of choice, you can move towards safety if you so choose. But remember, within this construct called life right now for many who are victimized, they don't have the luxury of financial freedom to make the choices. And so they remain where it is unsafe because they have a roof over their head and maybe sometimes food on the table. And their children also have a roof over their head and are sometimes cared for. Believe that people make the best choices that they can within their lived reality and within their belief system. If someone is staying in an abusive or unhealthy or toxic relationship, it is because they don't have agency yet. So maybe go in, just befriend them. Don't offer advice. Just listen and pretend that you are a safe person for them to be with so that they can feel what it is to be in safety. And then help them to find the journey, the path, the track to get them to a different place where maybe they too can believe in themselves enough and the universe to find peace, truth, and happiness. And so it is. Namaste.